Okay. So we will continue our lecture with the previous topic, that is use and storage of carbohydrates. Now we know that the carbohydrates that are produced by the plants, that are produced by plants during photosynthesis, they can be stored as various other substances, right? Now we know that they can be converted into starch molecule, and these starch molecules, they are they serve as an energy store for plant cells. Also, they could be converted into cellulose, and that is important to build the cell walls. Okay. Then we know there is glucose as well, that can be used in respiration. And we know that this respiration, it releases energy that is important for cell activities. Also, this glucose, it can be converted into sucrose as well. And that is important for the transport in phloem, in phloem tubes, right? Also, the plants, they are capable of converting carbohydrates that they produce into lipids and amino acids. Right? Now we can see the uses of glucose in plants. Suppose here you have glucose. We know that many glucose molecules join together join together, they can form cellulose, right? Now, cellulose is important for strength in the cell wall. Also, many glucose molecules join together, they can make starch as well. Now, starch is important for storage, right? And do you know that this starch is insoluble? And as this is insoluble, so we can say that it won't affect osmosis in cells, right? Other than that, we know that this glucose is also used in respiration, to release energy per cell. This glucose can also be converted this glucose can be converted into sucrose, that is for transport around the plant, right? And then it can be this glucose, it can be combined with nitrates from the soil, and then it can form amino acids, because amino acids have an additional nitrogen, right? And those amino acids can form proteins. Other than that, this glucose can also be converted into fats plus oils for energy storage in seeds. Is that clear? Now there are a few more things we can see. Sucrose. Okay, so this sucrose, you can say it is the starch that is made during photosynthesis is broken down into sucrose, right? Right? And we have studied that it is soluble. The sucrose is soluble and it can easily, it moves through the phloem tubes. And then it is transported to non-photosynthesizing parts of the plant. Now, what are those parts? Those parts are such as the growing buds. Very good, Mepsam. Those parts can be growing buds. They are ripening fruits. And then we have the underground storage organs. And other than that, we have roots as well. So basically, we can say that sucrose is an energy source, plus it is the transport form of sugar, right? Then we can discuss few things about cellulose as well. It is made up of long chains of glucose molecules. And other than that, it forms long, you can say it forms the cell wall of the plants. And there are some important functions of cellulose. That are, that first is that it holds in cell contents because it has a rigid structure. Other than that, it is freely permeable. That means it allows most particles or most molecules to pass through, such as water and minerals. Okay, now we have to see the factors affecting the rate of photosynthesis. Now, the rate of photosynthesis, it can be affected by the, we say that the rate of photosynthesis it can be affected by the availability of raw materials. So there are basically three main factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis. The first one is the light intensity. The other one is the carbon dioxide concentration. And the third one is the temperature. Okay. So water is also a raw material in photosynthesis, but it is involved in multiple plant processes. So its effects on the photosynthesis are very complex, and we are not going to cover that in this lecture, but we will cover the rest of them. So suppose light intensity. We know if the light intensity it increases, so the rate of photosynthesis will also increase. And we know this is because photosynthesis is a chemical reaction, right? And this chemical reaction, it requires light energy. So we can say that when less light energy is available, the reaction occurs at a reduced rate. The second point is the carbon dioxide concentration. So we know that as it is the main raw material for photosynthesis, so if the carbon dioxide concentration increases, so the rate of photosynthesis also increases, right? That is because the carbon dioxide, it is the reactant. You can say it's a reactant in photosynthesis. So reducing it will also reduce the rate of photosynthesis. At last, we have the last point, that is, or last factor, that is temperature. So photosynthesis, it is also, you can say, controlled by enzymes. And we know that the temperature, it affects the rate of enzyme controlled reactions. So we know as the temperature increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases. But this thing happens up to a point. Now, what is that point? Until you have more energy available, and that energy is available for the movement of and collision of molecules at higher temperature. And we can also say that the molecules, they have high kinetic energy at higher temperatures. Okay. Now, as we have studied in the chapter of enzymes, that at very high temperatures, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Right? And that may become zero as well. Why? Because we know that at extreme temperature, what is going to happen? That the specific shape of those enzymes, specific shape that is essential to enzyme action, is lost. Why is that so? Because the chemical bonds, they break inside, or you can say inside the enzymes, they break. And that leads to denaturation. And cause that causes the reaction rate to decrease and eventually stop altogether. We can have a look at the few questions related to this topic. Okay. I would like Laiba to answer this question number 2, so that we must be practicing the questions side by side. So that is why I included, I reserved some time for this. Okay, Laiba, can you answer this question? Laiba. The glucose molecules formed during photosynthesis have which form of energy stored with them? Yes, Mepsam, you're right. It's the chemical energy. Name the product of photosynthesis that diffuses out of a green leaf through its stomata. Oxygen. Laiba, can you hear me? Yes, Laiba. Okay, if you know the answers, Laiba, you can also drop them in the chat box. Which of the following options is best explanation for the role of chlorophyll in the photosynthesis? Chlorophyll, we have 4 options. Yes, can any one of you guess? C says that it transfers light energy from the sun into chemical energy in organic molecules, which can be used for growth. Actually, the B part is correct. That says that it transfers light energy into chemical potential energy in glucose molecules, which are used in the synthesis of other carbohydrates. Now, why C is not, Mipsam, you said C, or you said C, I guess. So why C is incorrect? Because the chlorophyll, it absorbs energy from sunlight to drive the reactions between inorganic molecules such as carbon dioxide and water to produce glucose. That is an organic molecule. So glucose can be converted into other molecules such as amino acids, which are used in food. Okay. Then here's another question. The following could be used to write a balanced symbol equation for photosynthesis. Which of the following show, okay, Mepsa, which of the following show the correct balanced chemical equation for photosynthesis? After this, we will proceed to question number 2. According to you, 1, it's A. It's actually D. D says 1 to 4 in the presence of 3. Yes, the D option is correct. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Sam, which question you were talking? Like this one? Two test tubes are set up with two similar leaves inside. Okay. Two test tubes are set up with two similar leaves inside them as shown in the diagram below. So one test tube is exposed to light while the other is kept in dark. So the test tubes are left for 4 hours. What color will the hydrogen carbonate indicator solution be in the test tube? Yes, what do you think? What will be the correct answer? Yes, could anyone of you guess?